Welcome to the Contagion Effect Show with your host, Mike Ellick and Eric Mello.
What up, Eric?
Good afternoon, Michael. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful on this beautiful, beautiful day. So today is a little different than what we've been doing. We are actually doing what we're calling the dads of the round table, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing it in preparation for Valentine's Day, which I don't.
February 14th, Monday.
There you go. Next Monday, right? After
Monday,
the Super Bowl.
the day after the Super Bowl, which is Monday, February 14th.
So all these guys need to make sure they shop before the Super Bowl because they
You're
probably
going to watch the football game, and then you're going to forget, oh, it's Monday, February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. You're going to forget that.
Look at that. We're showing love already. So
just saying. And don't forget, you can get your boys Valentine's too.
Oh, my bad.
I'm just saying.
I'm getting pew pew. I'm already getting shot at, guys.
Yes, I'm just saying for the record.
Help protect me, guys.
I'm just saying.
So on the line with us, on video, live on YouTube with us, we have three other great dads that we feel are great dads, and talking to them and watching their lives go along. And, you know, one returning guest that we had that a lot of you heard. First, we have Tim May joining us, you know, with the Rams hat there. So, Tim, give us a wave.
What's up, y'all?
And then, I don't want to mess up your name, Nick. I read it all the time because you're a great supporter of our page. I see all the likes.
You said it right.
Nick Papadopoulos?
Correct.
Yes.
Sir.
Just don't ask Siri to say it. Just don't ask Siri because she chops that stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
And then the man, the myth, the legend, returning again, thank goodness, we have Mr. Nino Gray joining us. So thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your time today. So I think the way I want to kick it off is, like, we need to learn about, like, these guys are dads. Who are they dadding for? So, Eric, you want to start us off?
Yeah.
Who are you dadding for?
I have two daughters, Brooklyn, who is 22 years old.
Okay.
She's a successful nurse. Cammie, who is 17. She's a senior right now in high school. She's focused. We've talked over a few things, and she's focused. And so those are my daughters. You know, it's what I do for. I do for everything that I do for.
That's
right?
what you do for.
That's what I do for. I don't know where that came from, but hey, I'm gonna write that down. What I do for.
All right, Mr. May.
Yeah,
Tell us about yours.
Yeah, so I got two kids. I got a boy and a girl. Tyler's 25. He's actually been on your show.
Yeah.
You know, doing the podcast thing. He just graduated with his master's in business and has an emphasis in sports management. You know, doing real well and proud of him. And then I got my daughter, Cassandra. She's 24. They're 15 months apart. So,
Yeah.
I have that problem.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, same thing. Just like Eric said, is they're pretty much the reason I get up every day. So,
Okay. All right, Mr. Papadopoulos.
Yes, sir. So, excuse me. I got two kids. My daughter, Brooklyn, 9 years old, and my son, Gunnar, 7 years old. And just like the rest of you, you know, just getting up every day, working hard for them, and you know, just being the friend / dad that, you know, every kid would want to have. But I'm kind of, with my kids, I'm a little lower on the spectrum as everybody else with the older kids that are graduated and, you know, the college thing and stuff like that. So we're still working on the elementary school age and, you know, the baseball, the bowling, the dance, and, you know, all that type of stuff.
Well, that's why we like having you,
exactly,
because I think you and Nino are kind of in the same spot. You guys have a little bit younger kids. So with that, Mr. Gray.
Yes, sir. I got Jaden, who's my oldest. He's 12. My second son, Jordan, he's 8. And then my daughter, she's 5. So, I mean, just like what you guys always say, man, like, I mean, they're the reason for all of this, right? They're the reason why we get up. They're the reason why we do. They're the reason why we push as hard as we do. Because Lord knows, if we didn't have kids, who knows where we'd be right now, right?
Right.
So, yeah, man, they're my purpose.
I'd be a lot richer, I'll tell you that. I'd have a lot more money. What I'd be doing with it, I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. But being able to play Santa Claus every year, man, makes it all worth it, right?
Shh. Don't tell anybody. Don't share those secrets.
Right.
Man, I can tell you, like, I don't know if you feel the same way, Tim and Eric with the older kids, the Santa Claus days, they're great, but man, they're tiring.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of work.
It is. Because
you didn't put your kids out there.
Oh yeah. Sorry. My bad. Well, man, I was hoping somebody else would be up in the numbers with me, but I guess none of y'all want to hang. So Nino, you're close, but so I have 4. I have Cody that's 27. I have Cameron that's 21, Jasmine that's 20, and Aiden that's 16. So yeah, I'm on the older end, and I get to take it beyond the dad thing. I get to go to the grandparent thing, the grandpa, which has been awesome.
Yeah.
And I have Cade, who's about 18 months, and Jackson, who is now almost a month old.
A whole month.
Almost. He's like 3.5 weeks old. So
COVID babies.
Yeah, that's a whole nother dad show right there.
God, right?
Yeah. So with that, now we know who and what everybody has, right? It's funny because I have so many things going through my head of thinking about dadding, and I've had the most amount of years here of doing it for 27, and trust me, I've been around many things. One of the things I can think of, with Nick and Nino, you guys have younger ones, and I always tell guys, like, enjoy these younger years, right? Enjoy them, do everything you can, do everything your mind tells you to, but remember, when 18 hits, your world changes. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, your world changes, because that's when and it's let's be real, it's not a magical line at 18. But the decision making gets a lot different. The reward versus what do you want to say, problems that could be caused get bigger, right? You get a call, Dad, I just got in an accident. Yeah, you don't hear that from your little kids. So
True.
Tim, take me through, like, what's one of the things that's come up? You now have adult kids. How is your fathering, your parenting, your dadding, how has that changed from the time they were probably teenagers to now?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? And when my kids were younger, because of the coaching, the sports, and the involvement I had in their life, it was literally me making decisions for them. And there was a huge adjustment for me to learn that as they were getting older, that even though I just wanted to protect them, I was actually doing them harm, right? I wasn't letting them grow and make these decisions. And it actually took a really big, blow up with my daughter, to the point of where she's like, well, maybe I think she was already like 18, 19 or so when we had a real big blow. She's like, maybe I just need to move out. You're trying to control everything I did, and as much as that stung, I literally went into work the next day and started reading. I read some books, like, am I jealous of my daughter's boyfriend type thing, and just all this weird stuff that I hadn't really looked at before. And, somehow my daughter went from 10 and me being her whole world to 20. And I swear it was like the blink of an eye for me. And, and then even going through this lately with, having a conversation with my son about, vaccination, non-vaccination, right? And this is such a big topic in our world at the moment. And, he's obviously been to school, and we've had some interesting conversations in business and things that have opened my eyes to him growing up. But, for both of them, that was probably the first thing that, it really hit me hard, this vaccination, that I don't get an opinion. It's not my life. They're old enough. It's, if they ask me for something, I give it to them. So, my last 4 or 5 years have really been about adjusting to understanding that I need to be a dad when they need a dad, and I need to be that friend, that support, that they all know they always got a place to come home. I don't care how old they are, I'll always work for them. But so for me, that's the biggest adjustment. And then, as you guys know, I coach, and at least that keeps me some connected. But I'll tell you guys, with the younger guys and boys and girls, sports, dance, whatever, enjoy every second. It doesn't matter how expensive it is. Like, I used to, if my son decided to go back to school again and do inaugural sports at 27, my ass would drive there to watch them play ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss it that freaking much. I mean, I coach, and I love the kids that I coach and the high schoolers, but it's not the same. And man, do I miss that. I'd borderline kill to see my kids compete again. That's probably the thing I miss the most for sure.
Yeah.
I would definitely, as far as that last comment, Tim, that is the realest comment. So for you, Nick, and you, Nino, and I know from hearing from Eric, Nick, that this is who you are, and Nino, you know, we talked about it. Man, don't miss anything. If you have the ability to make everything, and Nino, you have the opportunity to work with an organization where you see these top guys, right? There's, I mean, the thousands and millions probably of kids that don't get to that level, and parents unfortunately don't understand, you know, especially dads. Dads sometimes can be like, oh, my kid's the greatest, my kid's going to do it all, you know, and we hope, you know, we can be there for them, we can support them, but understand it does end, and it's hard. You're exactly right. I mean, I'm on my last one. I'm going, wow. All right, well, I'm gonna look forward to the grandpa thing now, because then I get to start over. But now I have a better understanding that I'm just gonna enjoy every moment, and it's gonna go where it's gonna go. And I know, you know, I mean, let's be real. Cameron was an athlete, but he was 5'7". He wasn't gonna go to the NFL. The chances, I mean, there's a few guys there,
Yeah,
but he wasn't. He was special to us, but he wasn't special in that standard, right?
Well, and there's so much on that, Mike. I heard you say on that last, but, you know, as a coach, I try and tell parents this all the time. There's so much more than athleticism to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's every decision. There's family. There's life circumstances. There's grades, right? I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And too many, especially, you know, coaching, when I coach the youth, you know, when kids or parents are looking at their kids at 8, 9 years old and thinking, you know, this is it. You know, Tyler wants to one day start like a training, like what we know here as Bonsu, right? And the elite. He wants to do something that's not to the elite athlete, that's to all the average Joes, and teach them how to get scholarships. Because that's what we talked about in my household.
Yeah.
Right? It's about getting to college. And then if you get to the next level, more power to you, right? But like all that money we spent, all that travel ball, that got paid back tenfold with Tyler's athletic ability and his scholastic ability, getting us that, you know, whatever it was, 91% scholarship or whatever. I mean, he got a great education with very little impact to us financially, you know?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So how does that, like, Nino, I know you're very involved with your kids, and Nick, I've heard you are. So for you guys, how does that, like, does that change your approach, or do you feel you're on target to do you, or like, what are your feelings around it? I know, Nino, you're coaching your son. I know you're at least, last thing I seen, you were coaching Jordan. Is Jaden still playing?
Yeah. See, and with Jaden, see, this is like, I always like just try to compete. Like I'm a competitor at heart. So it's it's natural. Even like as coaching youth football, I mean, it's youth football, but you be damned if I'm not out there trying to be, you know what I mean? Like Lane Kiffin or something while I'm out there. You know what I mean? Like but as the hard part about that I'm learning now between being coach and being dad is that line. There's a fine line there, and you put so much expectation on your kid's shoulders that if you don't play that card right, your kid can definitely like not like football no more.
Right.
I mean? Like my oldest JJ, I expected him to be Tyler Lockett tomorrow for so long. You know what I mean? And he loved the sport. He just was not that in tune with it. He didn't care about the X's and O's. He didn't want to review tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he took a step back. And then now that I'm not coach and I'm relaxed on him and all that, now he wants to get back into the game, 2 years later. He's only 12 now. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's a lesson learned. Don't put that expectation on. Let him just enjoy the game. Just coach, and then let him just enjoy the game and learn as he goes. Because I felt like I was taking away more from him from the game of football than I was adding to.
That's that's awesome that you saw it, right? I mean, we're always, because I understand I want to win at everything. I hate losing. Like, I hate it. I hate watching my kids lose. because then you deal with not only your own emotion, you deal with their emotion, and that's even harder, right? So I'm glad you saw that. Nick, have you gone? I know yours. You got Gunner who's 7 and Brooklyn who's 9. Are we involved in any sports or anything yet?
So with Brooklyn, we've been involved with dance. She goes to 5-6 studio. So we got the dance. She does the hip hop type of stuff, and we've had some recitals and stuff on that end. Gunner's just now getting into baseball, so he'll start his first rec league this year.
Nice.
They've been bowling actually league for the last 4 years.
Okay.
So, they're I'm not pushing them in any direction. It's kind of wherever they want to go.
Right.
However, but we're going to go there. And once we're in it, we'll focus on that. And, we'll get the practices that we need and go along that route. But I think as they're getting older, they're going to get more into the sports. And there goes the again.
Don't worry about Eric. He's gonna...
I think, being little, we'll start them off little, and then we'll progress as they want to progress. So as long as we can kind of keep them off the computers and the TVs, which it's not a bad thing. I mean, Gunner is a gamer. He does the Fortnite stuff at his level and, all of that. But there has to be that fine line of too much TV time compared to outdoor play and stuff like that.
But you also have a special tool in your garage.
Oh.
We do.
Okay.
We like to fit. We do.
So what's their personal best so far?
The personal best is probably around 2 pounds. They don't have the attention span.
Yeah.
That somebody a little bit older would. They like to go out there. During the summertime, it's, they want to play in the water and, more of that than the actual fishing.
Yeah.
But we have a deal. We go out. You guys play in the water for an hour or two, whatever. And then as the sun starts coming down, the weather starts cooling off, we end up fishing and, going that route with it.
Legit.
But
like this boat's bad.
He's got a bass boat.
This boat's bad.
Got the bass boat.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
I was trying to teach Aiden the other day like a lowrider. It wasn't even an Impala. I forgot what it was, but it was bass boat painted. It had the glitter paint. And I'm like, I told Aiden, I'm like, that's a rolling bass boat. That's what I call it.
What? Yeah.
So he could understand. But Nick, I appreciate that. Nino, appreciate it. Tim, Eric, I know Cammie was golfing.
So with Brooklyn, it was a no-brainer. She's her dad. She likes to be, I don't want to say the center of attention, but she likes to be out there with people and doing her thing. So she cheered from 5 till the end of her high school career. It was easy for her, but it was also hard because girls are worse than boys when it comes to the clicky thing, right?
Right.
And they kind of get in these bickering matches and arguments, and they're like all for one or against all of them. And it's just utterly brutal, right? Mm-hmm. So they did like the competition cheer, went to Cow Palace, went to Vegas. We all remember the youth sports and all that stuff. With Cammie, and this is not a bad thing. Cammie's like her mom, where she's like, sports, but she's competitive in other things, right? Where Camille did like T-ball. I mean, it was with the twins, so I had 3 girls in right field picking flowers, which was fine. I mean, they're, like freaking 5-6 years old.
Right.
It's just, for her, it's getting her to focus on something. And once she gets focused, it's just about, she's done.
Right.
She's on it. Right. But I literally just lost my train of thought. But I do appreciate you guys.
That's old dad. See, that's old dads for you, Nick and Nino. That's what you have to look forward to.
No,
that's my life now, bro.
It's just ironic to see, again, like we had Tyler on, right? So now we have his dad on, and for us, it's that full circle type of thing. It's, I will say it because I'm a hard dad. So, you guys have all said, I'm going to be my kids' friends and stuff like that. For me, like I'm not their friend. I'm their dad. I gotta raise them to be a certain thing. But I think it also, there has to be a balance, and I've kind of lost. I have lost that balance, and I'll be the first one to tell you I haven't been a great dad. I don't need the I haven't been a great dad. There was a couple of years where I was a total piece of shit. But to learn from that, you know, and I mean, I have to admit that to myself because I mean, there was, you know, when I went through some stuff and, you know, I lose focus on the big picture. I have the big picture now. Like I understand why I'm here and I understand that.
Well, you just let other smaller things get in the
absolutely.
way.
Yes. You know, and for the most part, like it's always going to be something in the back of their mind of, oh man, you know, like what's next? Like what's going to happen next? So there's that battle for us.
Right.
You know? And again, our podcast is about talking about things that are uncomfortable. And that for me, like this is an uncomfortable thing because nobody wants to be known as that asshole dad, but I'm that asshole dad. I've given my kids a lot of choices and a lot of freedoms to do things. But in the other spectrum is I put them in situations where we never want to do that to our kids, but they're resilient. Right. I won't sell my kids short. They're smart kids and they can get through things, and that's what we're all doing together.
Nino,
you're learning as you go, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how many of us have like the direct blueprint of how to do this thing called
right?
You know what I mean?
Well,
you're trying to prepare. You're trying to provide them all the joys of the world, but also trying to prepare them like from all the protect them from all the harshness that comes along with it. You know what I mean? It's hard.
So, you know, it's funny just talking about, and we're not going to stick on sports, right? It just, I know for me, that's an easy topic. I think for almost everybody. Hey, Nick, with Gunner starting baseball, are you going to coach?
No, unfortunately, due to work. I mean, with my schedule, it's not going to happen.
Right. But you're going to be there for games as much as possible.
I'm going to try to make as many games and practices as possible.
Yeah.
But with the way our work schedule is, we don't know when we're getting off.
Right.
So fair enough. So to be, to be honest, Nick and I work together, and I just want to tell him, get rid of that job, bro. Just get a job closer, bro.
And don't say where it's at. So I have to go back and bleep
it ain't because you're above me in seniority. Just go deliver that shit. That job.
It ain't because
I want you home at night.
Hey,
The thing is you got to have that and pleasure. And you know, with our job, it's more providing than the pleasures.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I look at all of you and I think about, like, I know Nino's been involved. I know Tim's been involved. I know Eric's been involved. I've been involved. What is our insatiable desire? And what's funny is we can look at, you know, everything we've done, and we can look at other kids that have played with our kids and look at their parents, and they didn't do anything. And there's us who are jumping into the heart of it, taking a beat. By the way, we're taking a beating, and I'll be honest, we're giving our kids a beating too, whether we're trying to or not. You know, Nino, you talked about the competitiveness. We're doing that, but we're also impacting them through other people, because other people are going, oh, they're getting that because their dad. They're getting this
Daddy
because
ball.
they're dad. Well, and that's when I was involved in high school football, it was, oh, Cam's only getting to play all that because his dad. I wasn't the coach. I never once told the coach how much to play. You know, should Cam run the ball?
You ask questions. What can my kid do to improve?
We didn't even do that. I mean, Cam was Cam, but
I mean, I think, you know, that's probably, and again, not to get lost on sports, but probably my least favorite thing about sports is how quick people want to talk about daddy ball or coach's kids, you know, and you've heard me say it for years, Mike. You know, I took a beating all through youth football, right? Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, I'm like, I'm sorry, is that my son playing at the next level? But you guys thought it was me all these years, right? And then, but the other part about the coach's kids, like, it's part of it, right? If you're going to coach and your kids are going to play, you accept that as a family, right? But what I want to, especially since this is going to get out there, what I want people to recognize about a coach's kid, ask your kid if they want 24/7 coaching. Ask your kid if they're getting chewed out between pork chops. Ask your kid if they can even shower right because you're telling them, hey, your footwork ain't right getting in the shower. Or your footwork, you know, like my kid wasn't even allowed to just swim in the pool, right? I had him diving, launching, you know, getting some horizontal to catch footballs when he was 6 years old, right? And we saw it in high school.
Man,
it paid
you're
off.
mean.
I'm not saying it didn't, right? But and then the other reality is, let's get real. We all started for very selfish reasons, right?
Yeah.
Because we wanted our kids to be successful, and we wanted some control in that. You know, you guys know my story. If it weren't for starting to coach, I was going down like Eric, I wasn't a great dad when my kids were little. My wife was doing it all on her own.
Yeah.
I was off playing my own competitive sports, traveling the country, you know, drinking with my boys after softball, you know, and then luckily, it sounds crazy, but, you know, I shattered my arm in a game and lost a 1/4 inch in both bones, ended up with this fixator. And I'm literally sitting at home, Tyler's second day of football practice, and getting ready to play Xbox. And my wife says, "You going to practice?" And I went, "Never thought about it." And I did. I went to practice. And unfortunately, in that scenario, they had 4 coaches, only one spoke English. And I was on the sidelines going, how are these 30 kids going to learn? And I walked over and volunteered to, you know, found out what I need to do to get involved in youth football. I'd already coached a couple years earlier, and signed up. And then you guys know the rest. The rest is history. I've been coaching for years since. But, you know, but I mean, let's face it, it started out with me saying, I don't want my kid in that scenario. And then I learned and grew. And for me, I love coaching because it taught me so much about being a father, it taught me so much about being a husband, taught me so much about being a man and mentoring these other kids. And, you know, you guys know I still do it now on the girls' side of all things, right? And, you know, it's on our coaches or on all our shirts and stuff for the basketball program. And I stole it from Tyler's college, but I believe in it. And it's, you know, building champions while in the pursuit of championships, right? And you know me, I try and keep that even balance, and we're fairly successful. But, you know, we start out selfish for our own reasons, and then we grow. Just back to what Eric said earlier, same thing as all of us learning as dads, right? Let's face it, if there was a book, someone would be a rich mofo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the truth. But, you know, and every one of us on this podcast are facing different circumstances within our own house, within our own lives, within our own jobs, right? I was fortunate enough to have a position in the past where I could get to those evening practices and be a coach and have weekends off. Now I'm in a position where I could leave work every day at 1:30 to be there for the high school girls. You know, so every one of us has a different set of rules and a different set of obligations that we have to live up to, and somehow raise these young, productive adults in the meantime with the distraction of all the social media and these phones in their hands. I mean, it's crazy. Right?
Social media has definitely changed a lot. So I think we'll jump off the sports thing and let's just talk about moments in dadding, right? And you know, I'll start with you, Nino. So take me to, you know, you have 3 with JJ being your oldest at 12. What's probably your hardest moment that you've gone through so far, if you don't mind, you know, taking us through it of your hardest moment as a dad? And I know you just went through some other stuff, right? So what has been your hardest moment as a dad, and what got you through it?
Man,
I know that's a big question.
Hardest moment as a dad, man. I think how much you can love someone, realizing that. You know what I mean? Like, and I say it's hard because, man, just realizing how much you'll do for somebody. You know what I mean? How someone can, like, you know what I mean? How close they are to the heart, and how, like, you know, you'll just do anything to protect them from this world. You know what I mean? And I think the hardest part about it is the vulnerability that comes with that. You know what I mean? And you got to let them go out there and just experience life. You know what I mean? Even,
right.
No matter how much you may know where that leads, like letting them have to, like, just go out there and just experience life. You know what I mean? That's probably what I would say is probably, like, the hardest part about it. And then, you know what I mean? Like I said, just trying to protect them from this world. You know what I mean? This world's right. Ugly. You know what I mean? Oh,
this world is different, right? I mean, it's so much different than what we all grew up in, and then you add the social media and the devices. I like Jamie and I obviously worked in the cell phone industry when the iPhone launched, and I say that one device literally ruined the world. As much as it did so much, it ruined the world because it started the whole app thing. It started everything.
What I say, it connected people far away, but yet disconnected the people that are right next to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's hey, Nino, that was beautiful. I mean, I think that is, you know, something we may not realize that is actually pretty hard. And I'll talk a little bit of my story that not a lot of people know. But with that, Nick, have you had a hard moment? You know, how did you deal with it?
You know, right now, I think we haven't really had any hard moments, but like Nino was saying, letting your kids experience the world for what it is and trying to protect them from the evils that are out there, because there's a lot. But one that really tugs on the heartstrings is every night I'm out working and you get the phone calls when they're going to bed and you can't be there. And as you said, technology has ruined a lot, but with that technology we have the FaceTime. So you can actually see the kids and stuff. But when you're coming home and everybody's in bed and you wake up and nobody's home and the kids are asking, can you take an extra day off and stuff like that? For me, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Because you want to do things with the kids and stuff. So that really tugs at the heartstrings. But, all in all, it is letting them grow up and turning out to be who they are. But yet you want to protect them. You don't want to be the helicopter parent. You ride over their shoulder all the time. And, they're going to have to go out and they're going to have to get their hands dirty. And if they fail, pick themselves back up and, help them along and get back on the right track.
No, one thing sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, Nick, one thing you hit on was the having to provide. I don't think we as dads ever give ourselves credit enough for going in there day in and day out and provide. You know what I mean? The beds they get to sleep on, that's because dad went out there and did that work. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? But it does come with those challenges of not being able to be a part of things because of your commitment to provide.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Nick, with yours, being 7 and 9, they don't understand what you're doing necessarily. They just know you're gone. They don't understand the meaning of why you're gone so much.
Exactly. And, when vacations come around and stuff like that, it's not that you throw it in their face or make them feel bad. You make them appreciate, hey, this is why dad had to work 6 days, or this is why dad works 4 days a day. And so we can enjoy things as a family.
Come on.
And in that aspect of it.
Well, and so, you all know we heard from our dads, I had to work this many hours to get this for you. We all heard that story, right? And I don't know that our kids get to hear. I don't know that we share that enough. I know I didn't do a good enough job probably sharing that aspect of it. And I think, Nino, you pointed it out, right? And I'll talk, like I said, I got my story. But Tim, how about you?
Yeah, I think everything, that they just said is very true, letting go, all those moments. But I'll talk about just a couple real moments. For me was, I already told you about my daughter, that moment was super hard. When my son broke down because he didn't want to play football anymore. We spent, countless hours, years, from the time he was 6 years old till now he's a second year in college playing college football. And he literally said he was afraid I was going to be mad and not like him or love him anymore. Yeah. And that was a moment for me, I didn't, obviously I pushed, and Nino hit on it earlier, right? But I didn't realize I thought I was supporting him, right? I thought I was giving him everything, and pushing him through in the Bonzo Elite Academies, and basically telling him to, shut up, you tell your body to be quiet, you can push through, all that nonsense we all go through, right? And that was the second most pain I've ever seen my son in. And there was a big, huge hole in my chest that day of rethinking everything I did as a dad. And once we got through that moment and he's grown up a little bit, like he gets it, he understands what it was all about. But, and then for me, another, by far the hardest moment was Mike and Eric, my family. So you know how close we are. Well, when we lost Kim's mom, to cancer, we were on a cruise together as a family. Okay. And I have a hard time talking about it now, but like the loss to me was big, and the loss to my wife was monumental, right? Our life is still not the same. But back to what Nino said earlier, when you talk about how much you love somebody, when I tried to tell my kids when they walked up those stairs, it's like I'm there today. I'll never forget those seconds. But when I had to tell my kids that they just lost their grandmother who's been in their life, as you guys know, a lot daily, I've never felt anything like that in my life. Yeah. And I don't ever want to feel it again. I'm sure I'm going to, unfortunately. Yeah. But to see your kids hurt to that level, something that's just been ripped from them, cancer, It happened fairly quickly. You guys know, within a year, we went from normal Mimi to loss. For me, hands down, the hardest thing I've ever been through. And to this day, we still have a hard time talking about it because it affects my kids and even my wife. It's hard for me. I haven't lost any of my parents. So, that's as close as I could get to losing a parent. I was close to them. But, seeing your kids hurt like that, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it, without a doubt, for me, hardest moments of my life. Hardest moment.
I miss her. All the hugs I would get every time I seen her. I loved her. She was an awesome woman. How about you, Eric?
You always knew. No, you go.
You want me to go?
Yeah, I do. I want you to go. I want you to go.
And this is why, this is kind of the reason I think we wanted this show is 100%. Some of the things we've been through, right? And Well,
okay, yeah. Hold on. We're gonna hold off on yours. I'll tell you. So mine would be Brooklyn moving out, which I met Shonda.
And how old was she when she moved out?
Well, the little pre-story is I met Shonda when I was 19. She was 16, right? Okay. Cruising the strip on McHenry. So I've always known her, right? We always knew that we would date and get married and all that. So that makes us together at such an early age. So there wasn't my girls are going out partying, or my girls are going out here, or hey, well, girls trip to this place, or we're going to the beach over here, and so there wasn't that in our relationship. So fast forward to Brooklyn growing up and going through it. She's like, hey, I'm moving out. Like, hey, what do you mean? You're 14. She's like, well, I'm not. I'm 21, but in my mind, she's always going to be that 14-year-old kid, right? Like to this day, it's just she's a 14-year-old kid. And so that was like for me. Again, this is where I kind of feel like I faltered. Where did I not show enough love because now she's moving out because I was such an a-hole? And I'm sure it has something to do with it, but also I was excited for her and I was proud of her that we got her to that point of she can live on her own, right? She can take her tire down to the tire shop and get Alan's wrench taken out of it, which is kind of a backstory because Camille's like, who the hell's Alan? Why is Alan's wrench in your tire?
She didn't pay for the air, right?
Right. No, which they try to do that. They try to say, hey, they want to charge me $100 to put winter air in my tires.
Okay, TikTok.
Yeah. But my point is that was like, I haven't had the big loss. My stepdad passed away more than a few years ago. That hit hard, but not that, the grandma when you're always around, right, Timmy? Like you're like you every day. There's always there. They're always at everything. But yeah, but Brooklyn moving out for me is the toughest thing that I've had to go through because I didn't see that. That wasn't my vision for my kids, right? You're going to meet a guy. He's going to come over. We're going to talk, then you're going to go on some dates, and then you guys are going to get married, and then you'll move out. Not move out and go with your thing. I mean, hell, she's been to Vegas twice, and she's been to Tahoe and a couple, weekends at the beach, which is good. That like, to me, I'm happy about that part, that she can go do that,
Sorry, we got dogs fighting behind us.
That's all good. It's their house. They're in studio. We got protection.
They are in studio.
So that's just mine. It's not as dramatic, but it's dramatic for me because
everybody's story. It doesn't mean anybody's story is.
And maybe I shouldn't say dramatic, but it is for me because that's emotional.
Well, I think no matter when your kids leave, no matter what the circumstances, if we cared, it should be hard, right?
Right.
And we need to be honest with ourselves and say that shit is hard. It's
there's literally a piece of your heart every time with every little story like that, right? Moving out, taking the next step, whatever. It's just you hope you start with a big enough heart, right?
Yeah.
That's the reality.
It is, and even like with Cody being, now he's 27. There was a point where I was like, dude, come on, bro. Like, it's time to get out, right? And I know you got Tyler still there, Tim.
As much as we want that free pizza from Pizza Factory.
Or agave.
Or
food
agave.
Or whatever it may be, right? There was a time where I was like, dude, I need you out. Like, it's time. And I am, you talk about being their friend, and I am more that guy that, like, I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to be your dad. I want to raise strong, independent people. My whole goal was every step I take is that when they're 18, the joke's always like, I want you out. I want you living on your own, but I want you to do it and be able to support. Now, it doesn't mean you're out the minute you're 18. Obviously, Cody was around for a few more years. But now he got out, like, even, you know, our kind of unwritten rule is you don't get married or have kids until you have your real job. Because I don't want you, like, we went through some shit. Like, I had Cody at 19, right? Yeah. And, you know, it wasn't easy. Now, would I do it again? I would. Unfortunately, I would do it again. Now I'm a little smarter and maybe I would do it a little differently. But this is why I did this and why I wanted this show, because, you know, especially with you guys with younger kids, you know, when you get to the adult part, it really gets interesting. So to share my story, and Tim, I don't even know if you know this, my daughter, while I was in the hospital, possibly dying of COVID, decided that her and her boyfriend were going to move to Arizona. All right. I'm not so mad about the move to Arizona. They're trying to run away from mask mandates and vaccines and all this stuff. And so she got registered at NAU. She dropped out of Stan State, you know, during her last semester. By the way, we were paying for it. We were paying for her to live here. We were paying for everything. We were paying for school. She didn't have to pay for anything. Literally anything. We'd pay for books. We pay for everything, right? So out of the blue, they decide they're moving to Arizona. Then it turns into they're getting married. And we said no. And our belief behind it was that I don't want you getting married until you graduate. I want you to graduate and get your job. She's going to school to become a teacher. She was already working for the school district in before and after school program. Killing it. Just killing it, doing well. Had the hookup in this school district, right? Then we decided to have a meeting with them and at Red Robin, because they wanted a neutral place, I guess. And, you know, they're going to hear this, whatever. And conversation starts out with him saying, look, I'm not here to ask for permission because we're adults now. I don't need your permission, but we're hoping we get your blessing. You know, me being a dad, I had told Jamie that I'm going to sit there and be quiet because I'm going to lose my shit if I talk. And Jamie actually told him that you're not going to come at us like that. That's not going to be the right way. Conversation went well. We talked about it. There's some things about his job. And, you know, then we got accused of we don't like blue collar people. I'm like, what am I? I don't have, like, I'm not an executive. I'm not white collar. I'm a blue collar worker. I've been my whole life. Whether I work with my hands or I work with a computer, it's still blue collar. I'm not white collar. I'm not an executive. And then the conversation turned into we wanted to meet with their parents and make sure everybody knew what was going on. And he refused. And then that's when we got told we got a bad reputation in Houston, Tim, that the Ellicks have a bad reputation in Houston. Needless to say, I lost my shit and went over the table and told him that he was a piece of shit and amongst other things. So I'm being very honest here. And I walked out. And so my wife told my daughter, hey, tonight you should go to your friend, stay with your friend. Next day, we didn't hear from her. Monday, my daughter reached out to her and got told, don't want to meet with you. Okay. So then my wife and I, we were actually on vacation because it was our 22nd anniversary while we're going through this. And we get finally on Wednesday of that week, we get told that she is now already in Arizona. She just left all her stuff and moved to Arizona with her boyfriend, who, by the way, during the conversation couldn't give us any proof that he could support himself. So let alone my daughter, who was being supported, who was being set up for success, who was being groomed to be an independent woman, which is what I wanted as a dad, and found out from her brother that apparently they got married on the Sunday after that Saturday meeting, that their pastor married them, and that they had gotten their marriage certificate on the Friday before. So they were already getting married regardless of what our meeting said. So that's why, as a dad, you know, that breaks me down. You know, my wife didn't get to help her daughter find a wedding dress. She didn't get any part of that. I didn't get to walk my daughter down the aisle. As a matter of fact, the funny joke is now, whether, you know, people think it's funny or not, I have 4 kids. two of them are married, and we haven't been to a single wedding. Because Cody and Katie got married during COVID, and they were supposed to get married on 10/10/2020, and they ended up having to get married because of, you know, benefits and all that. So we've literally had 2 kids get married, and we haven't been to a single wedding. That's parenting. That's dadding. That's, you know, that is a hard moment to swallow, and unfortunately, we're still dealing with it a little bit. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting enough, right? Like similar to Cassandra, but without the marriage and the, you know, but, you know, dropping out of school, it's all about the love of that guy, you know, and I'm working on trying to build a relationship with him, you know, and if I could give you any advice in this, just because we've been going through it for about 3 years now, it's not worth your pride, your principles, all those things. It's not worth the separation from your daughter. So swallow some of it. Let her live a little bit. I know it's hard, and I'm dealing with it every single day right now, but I'm trying to build a friendship with this dude she's with. You know, I just want her back, man. I miss her every freaking day. And she still comes home, does her stuff, but she pretty much lives with him, gave up school, gave up all the things we were providing. That's so hard for me. You know, the way she's living her life right now, it's so much harder on her than it needs to be.
Yeah.
But back to everything we've said throughout this whole show, right, is they got to learn, they got to grow, right? Be there. I'm going to be there if it blows up in her face. You know, I've gone through the gamut of bringing a bat with me over an argument, you know, to telling her that I can't put myself in that position anymore, that I have a family to think about and kids to think about, and that, you know, I'm going to be there for her. But until she starts making, and look, things are going better for them, but it's not what I wanted. Like Eric said earlier, it's not the picture I had. This isn't, and not necessarily him, the guy directly at him, but just in general, I had a vision of this man that was going to take away my daughter, and he needed to be a hell of a lot better than me at a minimum. Right. And so when that doesn't line up, it's a shock. And I went through the arguments. That's what the argument where I broke my hand and she told me she was moving out was all over this. You know, I was like trying to tell her, you're treated this way, you're treated that way. I've been through an abusive, you know, my stepdad was abusive to my mom. I've seen the writing on the wall, you know, and thankfully so far it hasn't gone that way, but you know, it's hard. But now I see my daughter, we're no longer frowning at each other. I get my kisses back, I get my hugs back. And even though I'm not happy about everything that's going on, I am happy I got my daughter back. So think about it. It's difficult, but just think about it, because again, at some point, none of that shit's going to matter. Yeah. It's really not, as much as it does. And I feel you. If you want to talk about it more, let me know for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can. And the funniest thing is my mind's never been like, this dude treated her good. You know, they've been together 3 years. So we were okay with them getting married, just not right now. Like there was a mission to be accomplished. I wanted that mission to be done before they got married.
But you don't get no say-so on that.
Right, I was going to say, that's your mission. That's the problem.
Damn it.
That's your mission.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I had to accept, Mike. I mean, literally, it wasn't my plan anymore. It's her plan. And it doesn't line up with anything I wanted. It doesn't line up from the second I held her. That's what she don't understand. Right. I had this plan longer than she did because I had it before she came into my life, you know. So, but it's not my plan, and it's perfectly clear to me now. And so we're trying to make the best of it and just be there as a family. But, you know, as you know, with the loss of your dad and stuff, you know, time's precious.
Yeah.
So every minute that you end up stuck on that is a minute, no matter how long the relationship, you know, no matter what happens in the future, it's one more minute you get. And there's one more minute you can't get back the longer you have that, you know, her, and Jamie, and that's the most important things. And you can be civil. You can make it work. You just gotta. It hurts.
That's still a ways away right now.
Yeah, it's like trying to swallow. It's like trying to swallow a beach ball. I ain't lying.
It's not so much with her.
Let's be glad that like the lesson is happening early on in the adult life for them, right? Because if she's having this at 45, going off the end, having that midlife crisis, this is a whole different conversation.
For sure. I
mean? If this all works out, awesome. But if you might take this L that we kind of think might happen here, it's going to be a lesson. You'll be able to learn from it. But hey, I won't lose in your case, your daughter. You know what I mean? You'll have that love there, you'll be able to like, yo, when she goes through those low moments, hey, I can relate to this because yo, my stepdad was like this with my mom. So let me teach you how to do this and how to process it. I think because we know so much, we try to protect them from it. But also because we know so much, though, we know how to help them process it when they go through it, where it doesn't develop as a trauma, you know?
Right. No, and that's my whole thing is I'm not like I'm hoping the wins at the end, right? That's what I'm hoping. I mean, I have nothing really against her other than not standing up for her own family during some of it. It's him right now is really the problem in my head.
Just trust that you guys did your job, Mike, and it will show. I'm starting to see it now. There's little things coming back around that, we did raise her. She knows how important family is. There's little moments that are coming back. And then my last piece to tell you, and hopefully you're already doing this, I don't give a shit how mad you are or how discouraged. Make sure you tell her you love her every chance you get.
Indeed.
Because that's something I made a mistake while I was mad. I was mad for a little while and I held back on that. And my daughter said to me, you used to tell me you love me 15 times a day, and now I haven't heard it for weeks. And that was another moment that I had to learn from in a second. Like, it doesn't matter how mad I am, because my love for her never changed. I just was angry and my pride was in the way.
I'm texting the girls right now.
It's a tough one, man. I feel for you.
I'm texting them.
Well, yeah. I mean, and with losing my dad, I mean, the interesting was when we lost my dad to cancer, like none of my kids outwardly showed a lot, except for you dealt with something with Cam, at football practice. And Aiden, I think we're still dealing with a little bit every once in a while. Aiden has a little thing going on, and
we're not impenetrable. We try to be, but we're not. It's going to come out sooner or later.
So I want to touch on that as all of you and Nick. I'm sorry we got off on a very serious note, but let's talk about like our parents a little bit, if you guys don't mind, and thinking about how we were raised and whether maybe we were whether it's a spanking or go get a switch, and get, all those different things, right? And how that translates to what we're doing now, like whether. My parents were very different in how they dealt with me, and they were divorced from the time I was 5 or 6. And one was very loving and the other one wasn't so much. And unfortunately, I think I picked up I'm not outwardly loving, but I know like I do a lot and I try to show them that, and I've gotten better. Like I've worked hard as I've gotten older to be more loving towards my kids. So Nick, for you, how have you taken, based on how you were, as a child, how your parents treated you, to now how you act with your kids?
I mean, I still try to keep it how I was raised. Okay. I'm not a fan of spanking. I think if you need a spanking or something, it's always there. As a kid, I got my ass whooped every now and then. I've gotten ping pong paddles, meat tenderizer used on me. I mean, whatever my mom could grab out of the drawer to whack me with, that's what I got. I got the whole sit in your room till dad comes home, he'll deal with you. And that's not, fun or anything anyways, just sitting there on the whole situation for a couple hours or whatever. But as I look at my kids, I'm still like that, but not as hard as my parents were on me. Mm-hmm. I think every now and then a good swat on the ass to get your attention and,
refocus,
try back on track. It's okay. Right. My wife really, she's not a fan of it either, but she'll tell me it's like, hey, we're just going to talk to him over this. We're not going to spank or whatever. Okay. Hey, I get it. I guess the times are changing, but I still try to incorporate some of my childhood into my children's childhood when it comes to that. Is it right? I don't know, but it does work. For us, it works.
Right.
And so, that's where we're going with it.
Now,
and as they, the spankings stop and, you talk more and, grounding or whatever. But I don't know. It's a learning curve. Everything you do is a learning curve. You don't want to
agreed.
Them, because it breaks my heart to do it, and right. I know when they're getting whacked, I mean, it breaks their heart, and you got to kind of rebuild from there. But stepping stones. That's how I look at it. Everything I do, I'm new at parenting. I can go off my childhood and, you know, how my parents raised me. I think they did a good job. So I'm going to try to take that and I'm going to try to run with it.
Perfect. Tim, I know you got to get going.
So I apologize. We got a big game, but I'll answer that real quick before I jump off. And I'm going to jump off quick, guys, because I got to get moving. But thanks, Nick, Nino, Eric. I appreciate you guys, man. This has been super cool. More fun than I thought it was going to be. And
wow, I don't know what that means, but all right, we'll take it.
No, I didn't think I was going to come in and be so open to learning and hearing other experiences. You know what I mean? And that's fun for me. If I could grow every day as a person, I'm doing something right. You know,
right.
So I appreciate you guys for that. But for me, honestly, Mike, I kind of I grew up my dad's retired military, but I also grew up in a divorced household with an abusive stepdad. So, you know, I have this whole gamut of things, but when it came to discipline, we were held accountable. I went, you know, hit belts, switches. I mean, you name it, right? But you know, I can look back and I know it was all out of love. Like I was never abused by my parents. It was always across my ass, and I deserved every damn one of them I got, right?
Exactly.
So I haven't necessarily brought all that. You know, I've spanked my daughter twice, I believe, and my son once, and I grabbed my son by the neck one time, right? And that's about the extent of the physical, right? But I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think there's a message. And so for me, the two times that I swatted my daughter on the butt, and more importantly, the one time I did this with my son, the message was received. And it's worked for us moving since. But the one mistake I think I made, and I'll especially Eric and Michael probably relate to this, is, you know, I made the mistake of trying to give my kids everything I didn't have. And I didn't learn till about 5-6 years ago that a lot of times my dad and mom said no had nothing to do with whether they could afford it or not. It had to do with me learning the word no and learning how to deal with disappointment and move forward. And I didn't do that with my kids. And so now I have kids that are older that are having to learn those lessons. And it's difficult. Trust me, if Tyler said, you know, can I get a Maserati? And I had the money, I'd have a hard time saying no, but I know it's the right thing to say is you don't deserve or need that vehicle at that moment. So for me, that's where I think I made a huge mistake, was taking my childhood memories of all the little shit I didn't get and trying to make sure my kids had it all, you know, and then now I look back and I go, damn it, now we're dealing with that side, right? So be interesting. I hope my kids go the opposite. I hope they think I'm not going to give them all the shit my parents gave me, you know, and maybe work a little harder. I mean, my kids work hard, don't get me wrong, but there's moments that they've been spoiled rotten little brats.
Well, I think that's why we see this millennial thing. I think our generation has gone through that, you know, all as men, you know, is all we've thought as men is we've got to provide, we've got to make life better than what we had it. Right. And we forgot that there's other steps that our parents did for us that were important.
Well, I think in our eyes as dad, we're trying to play makeup, right? We're trying to back clean up here, right? We're trying to do everything that we wish we would have had and all that stuff and apply it and bring you out this big old box of perfection. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
But the thing is because of that though, sometimes we can enable our kids a little bit too much with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And cause I know all you gentlemen, like we make it look easy, but damn, there's some hustle behind this. Man, there's some stress and tears that go behind this to be able to provide the way we do.
And we don't all put it on social media what we're going through, or know,
not all of us.
Not all of us.
Not all of us. as I'm literally copying the link for YouTube right
now. All right. Hey guys, I gotta jump off real quick.
Good luck, Timmy.
Yeah. Good luck. Appreciate you guys.
Go Houston ladies. Go Lady Huskies.
Go Lady Huskies.
Go Ladies Huskies.
Hey, it's another big game for first place. We went out this week. It's ours.
Bring back the hardware.
We need that blue banner.
Blue banner, baby.
For sure.
There you go.
All right, boys.
Blue banner.
Right,
bye, Timmy.
So, Eric, how about you? How about your childhood and, you know, how it's molded you? And
yeah, I take after my dad. I mean, my dad lives 10 miles away, and I haven't talked to him in
so much.
I haven't talked to him in like 2 years. I could literally tell you exactly 4 phone calls in probably less than 2 minutes of conversation. The last one being, "Hey, how's it going?" I called my dad's house, And my stepmom answered, and hey, is my dad there? Oh yeah, hold on, Eric. And apparently it went like he was shaking his head no, like he didn't want to talk. I go, he knows it's Eric, right? Like his son. And she comes back on the phone. She's like, yeah, he don't want to talk. I'm like, I'm like, really? Like, okay, cool.
Son.
Like I think that was like the finality for me of like the trying part, because I've always tried to have conversation and stuff like that.
Right.
But growing up, it was the yeller, the screamer. I mean, unfortunately, I took the yelling part. And that's a whole nother mental state that I put my kids in.
Yeah, we're barkers.
But yeah, it's I think, again, like I said, I never went to therapy for it, and this kind of being our platform, like this is kind of the therapy part. So if I get a little emotional, it is what it is.
Let it out.
You know, like I said, I've never went through a therapy, so this is my therapy. And talking about it makes you feel. I'm gonna leave here in about an hour and go to work, and I'm gonna be fine, right? But talking about it makes me feel a little insecure, but it also helps me, right? It's that talking about it part of the whole thing. But yeah, no, it was, go get a wooden spoon, and we'd hide the spoons out on Sullivan Road in Gustine, where the milk trucks would come down the road and run over the spoons, or put them in my dad's work boots at night, and then get an ass beaten for putting the spoon in his work boot. And so, I mean, it was corporal punishment, and I don't want to say verbal abuse, but I mean,
But you haven't handed that down.
I haven't seen my kids. I don't really see my kids get mad. When Cammie shuts down, she'll shut down. Brooklyn's more of kind of like a giggly, laughy type of like mean streak, but I've never really seen him have that issue yet.
Okay.
Hopefully it skips them. Hopefully they take Shonda's, when Shonda gets
Calmness.
mad.
Or a little calmer.
Yeah, I mean, we all go through things, but
right.
I mean, yeah, because like for me, I was raised my mom, single mom in the middle of fucking LA, raising two kids, right? She had me when she was 16, and my dad was there, but then my dad was there for a time being, but then like when I was like 4, he just dipped out, right? Never seen the guy. He showed up periodically, but never in a healthy manner, right?
Right.
So as a dad myself, like you're constantly trying to paint this canvas of perfection, right? When what we have in our mind, but on a blank canvas. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, like no blueprint. Like to Eric, like to piggyback off what you said, like I'm in counseling now for how to approach dad life.
yeah,
Right.
wow.
What am I getting wrong? What am I doing right? I have a dad coach who tells me like, yo, instead of being like this, be like this. Because for me, not having a dad and then going into the military at so young, hey, bro, when I need to get something done, I promise you, I know how to approach it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't so like I know how to, I tell my kids I love them so much, I know how to love them, everything like that. But for me, it was the discipline part, right? Like how do I get my boys ready for what life's gonna bring at them? How do I teach them not to be anybody's lack of better terms, anybody else's bitch?
Right.
Right?
No,
Like,
you're right.
How do I get you tough, but at the same time prepare you for this world? You know what I mean? Like my daughter, it was easy because my daughter, that's my princess, man. I love you. You got the world. Like whatever you need, I got you. Don't say nothing else. You know what I mean? But my boys, you are the soldiers. You got to be able to like protect your sister, and I gotta like mold you into this. You know what I mean? So with that, man, I used to spank my boys, but like my oldest, I got to see it wasn't working. Right. Well, excuse me. Let me go. My 8-year-old Jordan, it wasn't working with him because he's my wild child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spanking him was not working.
He just looked back at you like, what else you got?
Yeah, like he was just like, all right, what's up, Dad? Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I got to figure out how else to do this. You know what I mean? So we started doing push-ups and all that other stuff. But I've learned also too that now how I treat my daughter, I gotta apply that to my sons though too a little bit too. Them like, hey man, it's okay to love. You know what I mean? It's okay to like, you know what I mean? To have a little soft side. You know what I mean? But I had to learn that along the way. I had to take my L's in life to be able to like put that armor down. But because you're always going from a warrior or like even a survivalist mindset.
Right. That's and what's funny is as I grew up and when I was hit, like the biggest thing that I took away from it was they'd always say sorry, and I would after, sorry, I love you, and for some reason that etched in my mind. Like I never, if I touched my kids, I never was gonna say sorry, because to me it didn't mean anything. You still did it. Even now, like even if I yell at them, I don't say sorry because at that moment it's what I felt they needed. Why would I be sorry for it? So. And whether that's a bad belief, but I
am straight.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like you can ask Jamie. I do not say, like, it bothered me that I would get hit, and then they would say sorry. 10 minutes later, you're not sorry. You're not sorry. You did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you were sorry, you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
saying sorry doesn't fix it. And unfortunately, that's probably where I struggle sometimes of being that loving dad, and I've try to work harder and just being honest. Like, I love my kids. I will go to the end of the world, So if my daughter calls, I'll be in Arizona within, how long did it take? It takes like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
From here. Well, from where? Yeah. But I would be there. Right. I mean, I drove to LA for rugby matches, drove there in the morning and drove back that night to just watch rugby. So I will drive to go do whatever for my kids. I'll go to the end of this world.
Yeah. And I don't think it ever comes from a place of being like sorry, because I'm not sorry. I just feel like that's what it needed at that time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
and we get in the moment. We don't know. I mean, you're hoping it's right.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
But sometimes we're going to be wrong.
Now to the person, to the person that goes out there when they get home from work and goes in their picture, kids ask for no reason. Yeah, you can fuck off. But it's like, I don't think we ever have that mindset when we go in, when we ever have to spank our kids. Like we, in our minds, we're like, we feel like for what happened, this is the necessary discipline to correct this. It's corrective action.
Right. Man, that was a great, few minutes of like it. I think we just learned a lot of, what we dealt with and how we've tried to manage things have created, unfortunately, this generation. And I think, and I'm hoping, because I think we're starting to see some change with this younger generation. And I hope with you guys having younger kids, you see it, because we have to balance what you said, Nino, is we want to give them the world. It's kind of, and going off what Tim said, we want to give them the world, but do they really need it? Do they understand it? Because I didn't tell my kids how hard I worked to buy them something. Yeah. But I always respected it because I heard it every time I got anything. I had to work 6 hours to get this. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what that meant, but it was important because my dad was saying it over and over.
I think it's funny because I think my dad gave me like $200 or something like that when I was like 12, right?
Right.
And I talked to this dude like 2 weeks ago for like the first time in a few years, and he still brings up that $200. And I'm like, no, if that's the only achievement we have done in your history as fatherhood, I'm just saying, man, hey, I would pick my game up a little bit. I'm just putting that out there.
Right. Well, I think, with Valentine's Day coming.
Monday the
14th.
Day after the Super Bowl.
Take care of everybody you love, right? Make sure they know they're loved. It's not just a paid holiday. We obviously, for those of us in relationships, my wife gets something. If I want to go buy her something, I go buy it. We don't celebrate these.
I was just gonna say, I think everyone kind of does throughout the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know you tell your kids every day you love them. Nick, I'm sure you do the same, and probably tell your wife too, right? But we gotta, our job is awareness with this show, and we're gonna have the Super Bowl, and you guys all got to shop a couple days early this year because it's on a Monday right after the Super Bowl. Everybody's gonna be. And by the way, that Monday after the Super Bowl is the most called out day of the year.
Not this year for me.
Not this year.
I'll be there at 4 a.m., baby. I might go to bed at halftime. Who knows? Just kidding. Go numbers. I want numbers.
I do have a quick question, a little bit off topic. So, Nino, do you get to go to the award ceremony?
For
the NFL honors?
I
didn't make the finalists.
Oh,
what? When did they say it? What?
Come on.
They got some good players out there that are going to represent. So, but it's all right because for me, it motivates me to go harder than next year.
I know, but we got your
when
back.
When did they announce the finalists? I didn't even hear the finalists.
I think last week.
Oh,
bums.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I just kidding.
We just got your back.
I just kidding.
Yeah, you know what I mean. The reward is in the people that who were able to help in the process.
It truly is, and our job is to remember that, even though we wanna represent you and make sure lift you up.
I want him to win. Don't get it twisted. I want him to win. No, but it's cool because to even be nominated with doing things that do something like you generally love to do. That's the blessing, right?
Hey, and I did want to. I've been caught up since you mentioned what you did for all the female veterans, and one of the things I was thinking about is that's what we need on the show next is we need. So if you have a great story and you have somebody that might be willing to come on the show and talk to us, we would love that because we need to show that aspect as well, and we need to represent because I think that was awesome what you did.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely got a lady that will come and represent and let you know everything that we're doing and what they're doing. Even I got a few that's running nonprofits too that I think you would enjoy talking to.
Yeah, we would love that. So we'll catch up.
Nick, I know you were involved. Getting back to the bass boat and stuff, you were involved in. I don't want to call it a tournament, but we'll call it a tournament because I don't know what to say. But speak a little bit about what you got to do for Stanislaus County.
For what, the Casp for Kids?
Yeah.
Okay, so Casp for Kids is a program out there for mentally and physically disabled children.
Yeah.
And they sign up and you take them on your boat. You take your boat out. They provide them a life jacket and, a little tackle box full of whatever and stuff. But you take these kids out. I think it was about 4 hours. We ended up taking them out on the Delta and you take them fishing. Awesome. Just gets them out there. It's something that maybe they've never experienced. You got kids that come every year, but it's a good organization, really family friendly. They provided a barbecue for the kids. Each kid got a picture and a trophy that day for participating, whether they caught one fish, the biggest fish, no fish, or anything like that. But it was good. We took our kids, my kids help out. Brooklyn ran the boat with me. And she put lures on for the gentleman that we had on our boat. Gunner stayed with Melissa on the dock, and they set up, I don't remember if they have raffle prizes, but they ended up setting up the food tent and getting things ready over there. And it just makes you feel good inside.
Yeah.
Makes your kids realize what they have. Their life isn't as bad. I did say mentally and physically handicapped, but some of these kids just came from a bad home.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a release for them to go out. But that's also another organization that you guys might want to try to track.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Well, that's why I kind of wanted to say something. I know.
I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. No, that was awesome.
How many kids were out there, Nick?
I think when we went, I want to say there was probably close to 50, give or take. So, they came from all over. There was kids that came down from Sacramento to the Stockton area, kids from Merced that came up, and just here in the local area. There were a few places that did a donation. I think Bass Pro Shop donated just a few little things, but it was all the anglers got together and your spare tackle or, whatever you could provide, they brought it out,
Well,
so
we'll definitely have to get together and we'll do something. We might have a little live podcast out there and
there you go.
If we grow this thing up and get YouTube live like we are right now, who knows?
It'd be a little harder on the road for YouTube live, but we can figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is awesome.
Yeah. No, I was sitting on that one.
How dare you? How dare you?
Stanislaus County.
Casp for Kids. So Stanislaus. So where was it held?
Yeah, it was held at the Delta.
Okay.
But they do it, I guess, wherever they can get the permission. I think they still have to go through Fish and Game.
Right.
Because it's not a tournament, but with that many boats and stuff, I believe they have to get clearance. So it could be at a lake. It could be at the Delta.
Okay.
But they do it by region, I believe.
Okay.
So, but they're nationwide.
Caspforkids.org.
There you go.
Awesome.
CaspForKids.org.
Awesome.
By Bess.
All right. Any parting words, Eric? I think.
No, just.
I want to do more of these. I think. I appreciate you guys.
We can definitely do something like this. And like I said, for me, it's eye opening to know and to have just so many different backgrounds and age groups, and know that dads struggle through things.
Yeah.
Like it's just like we said, there's not a book at the library to, Dad Life 101.
And moms have it hard too. So we're not taking away from moms, but it's all about today's
Dad's round table. So we're kind of.
I know, but I got to show some love. I got to show some love too.
Just because she's back. Because the paparazzi.
Yeah, because paparazzi's right behind
paparazzi's back.
She's only hearing one part of the conversation.
Yeah,
so
that's all right. So, Nick, parting words.
I mean, the simplest as I can say it is love your children.
Yeah.
And yourself.
Yep.
Awesome.
Man, dads, make sure you give yourself grace.
Yeah.
All right. Give yourself grace. Give yourself a pat on the back. Not many people are going to do that, but just, you're giving it your all. You know what I mean? Make sure you love, like Nick said, love yourself. You know what I mean? And everybody else will be able to, you'll be able to get more love that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be your own biggest fan, and like you guys been saying since the beginning, enjoy these days, right? Enjoy fatherhood, period. Right?
Exactly.
Mikey?
Get a podcast so you can talk to other dads and
the therapy.
Get the therapy. I'd say it's free, but it does cost. But I mean, seriously, it was like, just talking to you guys, talking with Tim, with Eric and I have talked through a lot of our situations. It helps to see other people going through it, see their point of view on it. Even talking about my situation and the feedback, and as much as some of it I don't want to take just out of, like we got to figure out our way through this, but some of it's very valid. So I need to look a little deeper into the situation.
Yes, sir.
How about you, buddy?
I think we're good, buddy.
What? Oh, come on, bro.
No, I started the whole thing. No, like I said.
This guy.
Nick, you know he's going to cry right now. That's why he's going to cry.
Yeah, asshole.
Get that man some tissue now.
No, like I said, but for me personally, it's just realizing, man, did I mess up? But like Nino said, man, you gotta give yourself some grace. My kids are still here, productive, members of society. There's always time for change. You can change no matter what you've been through. So
yeah, even when they're being bad, they're actually still pretty good kids most of the time.
Yeah.
Because there's different levels of bad, and my kids aren't there. So.
Nick and Nino, love you guys.
Yes,
thank you for being on. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
You guys be well.
Guys,
have a great Super Bowl and happy Valentine's Day.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.